Not disappointed. Not we need to talk. He chose disown, a word that belongs in a different century, in a house with heavier furniture and no central heating. He sent it in a text message at 11:14 on a Tuesday morning, and she read it standing in the break room at work, next to a coffee maker that had been broken for 3 weeks. I disown you. Handle any further contact through my lawyer. Dad the dash. The formal sign-off. She stood there long enough that someone asked if she was okay. Yeah, she said. Sorry, work thing. She had been building the safety net for 6 years. It didn't start with a plan. It started with a phone call during her second year out of college, her father's voice doing that particular thing it did when he needed something. Going quieter, more careful, stripping itself of the authority it usually carried. He'd made some decisions. There were gaps. Could she help? Just temporarily, just while things stabilized. She helped, and then things stabilized, and then they destabilized again, and the calls came back, and she helped again. Over 6 years it had become architecture. A life insurance policy she paid premiums on. A small investment account she'd seeded and maintained. A line of credit attached to her name that he had access to, that he'd used twice that she knew of, and probably more that she didn't. A health supplement subscription she'd set up during his cardiac scare in 2021, and never canceled. None of it was documented as hers. That had felt like generosity at the time. She understood now that it had felt like generosity to her, and like entitlement to him. She ate her lunch at her desk that day, and didn't think about the text. She thought about it at 9 p.m., sitting at her kitchen table with her laptop, and a glass of water she kept forgetting to drink. The thing about disown, the thing that kept snagging, was that it assumed something. It assumed he had something to give, that she existed inside a structure he presided over, and that he could remove her from it by declaration, like a king, like a man who believes the warmth in a room is coming from him, rather than from the system someone else installed in the walls. She had one feeling, and it wasn't anger. It was the feeling of finally having permission. She opened her email and wrote 3 messages. One to her financial planner, one to the bank, one to the estate attorney she'd consulted twice before and never fully engaged, because she hadn't been ready to be ready. She went to bed at 11. She slept well, which surprised her and then didn't. In the morning, she called her financial planner before 9. I want to restructure the beneficiary on the policy and liquidate the account we discussed, she said. The one under the secondary designation. Are you sure? The growth on that account has been, I know. I want it moved into my primary portfolio. Today, if possible. There was a pause. Her planner was a practical woman who had heard many tones of voice in her career and knew which ones to respect without commentary. I'll start the paperwork this morning. The line of credit took longer. Her attorney handled it with 2 phone calls and a form. The supplement subscription she canceled herself, on her phone, in 4 minutes, while waiting for the elevator at work. She told no one. There was no one to tell, really. Her mother didn't know the architecture existed. Her brother lived in Phoenix and had long ago opted out of the geometry of their family by simply not being present for it. By Thursday afternoon, it was done. She noticed she felt nothing triumphant. Just lighter, in a way that felt structural rather than emotional, like a load-bearing wall she'd been standing next to. For so long she'd forgotten she could move away from it. Her mother called Friday at 7 a.m. She was in the car, driving to a client meeting, and she almost let it go to voicemail. She didn't. Something's wrong. Her mother's voice was compressed, controlled in the way that meant the opposite. Your father, he went to use the account this morning and it's saying there's nothing there. And the policy. He called the insurance company and they said, I know, she said, silence. What do you mean you know? I restructured everything. The accounts are mine. They always were. Another silence, longer and a different shape. He said he disowned me, she said, not unkindly. On Tuesday. I have the text. I took that seriously. He didn't. That wasn't her mother stopped. Started again. He was angry. About the situation with your aunt. You know how he gets. She did know how he got. That was, in a way, the entire point. Mom, she said it carefully. I'm not punishing him. I'm not doing this to hurt anyone. But I built those things. I maintained them. And when he decided to end our relationship, I took them back. That's all he's going to. Her mother's voice cracked slightly, then recovered. He's very upset. I understand. He says he's going to talk to someone. A lawyer. That's fine. She merged onto the highway. His lawyer is welcome to reach out. There's nothing there that isn't straightforwardly mine. She could hear her mother trying to find the next sentence and not finding it. There was grief in that, real grief, and she felt it. She wasn't made of glass, and she wasn't made of stone either. But she had learned sometime in the last 6, without marking the exact moment, that absorbing someone else's consequences was not the same thing as love. She had confused the two for a very long time. I have to go, she said. I have a meeting. I love you. I'll call you this weekend. She hung up. The client meeting went well. She ordered a sandwich afterward and ate it outside, in the thin spring light, watching pigeons negotiate a pretzel someone had dropped near a bench. She didn't feel like a person who had won something. She felt like a person who had finally started keeping accurate records of what was hers. And discovered, once she looked clearly, that it was more than she'd been given credit for. More than she'd given herself credit for. That was the part that would take longer to sit with. Not what she'd taken back. What she'd been carrying, quietly, for 6 years. And how completely she'd been expected never to put it down.